After we chased them out, nobody said another word. We had exiled all of the suspicious ones. Even though we had known that there might be some innocence among them, we had exiled them all the same. We had chased them out of this paradise, where people didn't have to doubt each other. However, our motive for chasing them out had been suspicion of our fellow men, the worst kind of crime for a human. If we had been able to accept the existence of the 19th person, of the witch, then we might all still be talking face to face, trusting in each other. In that instant, we had all agreed to chase out all the suspicious people. But had that been the right thing to do? During this endless silence, we could do nothing but quietly be tormented by that sin. And Natsu was facing the door, seated all the way in the back in her sofa, not letting go of her rifle for even an instant. She would probably spend the night staring at the door without a wink of sleep. George Aniki was gazing through a gap in the closed curtains by the window, looking down at the courtyard and the mansion that surrounded it. Whether he was checking to see if any suspicious shadows would become visible through the window, or whether he was engaged in some deep internal conversation, I couldn't tell. But Jessica was sitting at an angle on the sofa next to Natsu's, with a dead expression on her face. And every once in a while, as though she just remembered something, she would take out the inhaler she had used during her asthma attack and stick it in her mouth. I just heard it from Aniki, but apparently Jessica likes Kaneko.
I thought so.
It seems that it was such a vague thing that she hadn't realized it herself. You know, it's the kind of thing that other people tend to spot before the person in question realizes it. In that case, she might have first learned of her feelings when the person she liked died. It was truly pitiful and sad. Come to think of it, Kaneko had been the one to hand her that inhaler. Maybe she was remembering that. As for me, I was fishing around grandfather's study, thinking I'd researched the meaning of magic circle on the second sheet of the letter. Even though we were shut up here in a defensive position, my rebellious nature made me want to keep up the offensive, find some key to all of this. We have plenty of time until tomorrow morning anyways. No matter what I do with that time, no one can find fault with it. No one else showed that much interest in this magic circle. Its meaning was unknown, and once we understood it, we were sure to find some message that would cause us unnecessary anguish.
Yeah.
I also agreed about this, however I still couldn't let it go, so I killed some time pretending to research it.
熱心だね。何か手がかりになるようなことは見つけられたかい？
さっぱりさ。そもそも日本語で書かれた本を探すことからして骨だぜ。じいさまは一体何カ国語を読めたってんだ。大したもんだぜ。
バトラ君は眠くないの？誰かが起きていてくれてるうちに休んだ方がいいよ。
Aren't you tired? You should take a rest.
ダンダンダン。
夏日おばさんは寝ず番をしてくれると言ってるけど、体が持つわけない。ローテーションで休んだ方がいいよ。
Oops.
じゃあ兄貴が先に休めよ。俺は眠気が来るまでちょいと調べ物をしてるさ。
さっきの魔法陣？
うん。どうせ時間は腐るほどあるさ。ベアトリーチェ様がどういうメッセージを込めやがったのか。
よせよ。そういうのやってると妙なのに取りつかれちまうぜ。
安心しろよ。俺はマリアにお墨付きをもらってるぜ。俺には霊的才能は活気しなんだとよ。
マリアのこと邪険にしすぎたかな。
ジェシカ、今はそれを考えてはなりません。
でも母さん、もしもマリアが無関係で犯人が他にいたなら、犯人は襲いやすい相手を狙うに決まってる。それで殺されたなら私たちは見殺しにしたことになるよ。
She has the scorpion charm.
Yeah. What's that gonna do if the killer's a real person, John? What's that gonna do, huh? Is it gonna matter? It only matters if there's a supernatural being named Beatrice.
And also, no, what if she's the killer?
She's not the killer.
How do you know?
Why would 6 grown adults... Why would 10 people allow a 9-year-old girl to murder them?
Maybe she transforms into a witch.
Maria goes fucking Super Saiyan.
You didn't know this is a magical Maho Shoujo Maria.
This is a magical girl visual novel.
Yeah, where Maria turns into a witch. That's how she know Beatrice exists, because she's Beatrice.
Interesting.
And she evolves. No.
Interesting theory.
A gloomy silence settled once again. It looked like Jessica regretted that she'd let her emotions take hold of her and snapped at Maria. She was always like that, acted tough, went too far, and regretted it later.
気持ちはわかりますが、マリアは犯人と接触し、こともあろうか、その肩を持つように煙に巻く発言を繰り返しています。私はこの部屋から追い出せて。
夏日おばさんって結構きついっすね。9歳の女の子のザレ言かもしれないじゃないっすか。
No 9-year-old talks like that.
No.
Even though I thought I was being brazen saying that, I myself had thought Maria was being creepy on several occasions today and had doubted her true nature. And when Maria had been chased out of the room, I couldn't deny that I felt some relief.
もしそうだったなら明日謝罪します。彼らをこの部屋から追い出したのは全て私の責任です。だからあなたたちが気に病むことはないのです。
I could feel tragic determination in Natsuki's words. To protect her own daughter, she would resolutely chase out the suspicious ones. And if, as a result, she had left those people to die who had the misfortune to be suspected, so be it. She was prepared to take full
なん
responsibility.
でマリアってあんなことばかり言うんだよ。自分で自分の首を絞めてるぜ。
もともとマリアちゃんが魔女や魔法に傾倒するようになったのは、僕はローザおばさんのせいじゃないかと思ってる。
ローザおばさんのせい？何がどう関係してるってんだよ。
バトラ君だって気づいてるんじゃないかい。マリアちゃんの本当の父親はずいぶん昔に蒸発してるんだ。おばさんはそれを海外出張とか言ってごまかしているけどね。
He's been on a foreign business trip for 9 years.
Apparently.
後ろ宮家ではローザさんたちに関わる話はタブーとされているところ。
おばさんは再婚だって考えたと思うよ。でもマリアちゃんの存在が枷になって非常に難しかったんじゃないかと思うんだ。だっておばさんは時折ものすごく感情的にマリアちゃんに当たっていたから。
Yeah.
それについては同感だぜ。ローザおばさんはマリアを好きになろうと努力してるように見えた。ってことはつまり好きじゃないってことなんだよな。再婚の妨げになっているマリアに思うところがあったんだろうよ。
Or maybe
母
being
親
the
の
reason
感情
that
的な拒絶が
her husband
きっ
ran
と
away.
彼女の幼い心に深い傷を残したと思うんだ。そしてどこかでオカルト趣味と出会い、心の隙間を埋めるように没頭していく。
It would be similar to Kinzo.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Y'all are finding these people creepy and then realizing that they're just taking out their sadness. And then you realize they're not being creepy.
マリアちゃんにとって魔女のイメージは決してネガティブなものじゃないんだよ。ほら、昨日海岸でマリアちゃんのノートを見せてもらわなかったかい？
ああ、なんだか楽しそうな落書きでいっ
Yesterday, when we had doubted the witch down by the beach, Murray had gone all riled up and started explaining about witches. Not one of the pages had shown a picture of an ugly witch. They were all brightly colored, beautiful, cute witches who looked like they were having fun. There was absolutely nothing sinister about them, like a boy might have imagined. They were beings adored with beautiful dresses, who would grant anyone's dreams with their mysterious magic, and who made everyone happy.
So Maria is the mangaka for Little Witch Academia. Is that what he's saying?
No. The sorrow of not being loved by her mother. Had Maria sought salvation from the witches as beings who could save her from the sorrow and make her happy? Someday a witch would come and, using her wonderful magic, would bring Maria happiness. Even though she believed that, as she grew older, she had to face reality as her fleeting dreams were sliced to ribbons one by one. If in front of a girl like that, something claiming to be the witch of Rokenjima appeared, and whispered that she would take Maria to the Golden Land where Maria could be happy.
僕は今頃になって胸中を告白するよ。
Oh boy.
マリアちゃんを、いや、源氏さんたちを追い出したのは多分いけないことだったんじゃないかな。
気まずくはあるぜ。
Since Jessica had been the one to face them and slam them with words of rejection, her conscience must be tormenting her a lot right now.
なら皆さんはあの手紙をどう説明するのですか？私の後ろにいた4人以外の誰にも置くことはできなかった。
That's true.
それは私がこの目ではっきり確認しています。あの4人が潔白だというなら、どうやってこの密室の8人もの人間がいる中で手紙を置けたというのですか？
No matter how you look at it, it has to be one of them. How does a letter just appear on the table? You and
You're gonna keep asking these questions. I feel like I've become Maria now. I am the Maria of this Let's Play. Every time you ask these questions, I'm gonna say, it's Beatrice.
Okay.
You still don't believe.
Okay.
You still don't believe, John.
I won't believe ever.
そうなんだよ。その話が始まっちまうと、確かに4人は怪しいってことになっちまう。だが、全然ダメなんだ。ああ、全然ダメだぜ。
ダメって何がだい？
ああ、もう今さら何の役にも立たないかもしれねえが、またチェス盤をひっくり返させてくれ。つまり、あの4人が本当に犯人だってんならよ、おかしいんだよ。
そうだぜ。あんなテーブルの上に堂々と置いたら、この中に犯人がいますよと告白するようなもんじゃねえか。そうだよ。おかしい。やるの。
Oh.
例えば扉の隙間に置いて廊下側から差し込まれたように見せかけるとか。
I didn't even think of that. They would be incriminating themselves.
Reverse psychology.
Yeah.
You know what that is? That also isolates. It's the perfect setup because they realize that they'll be suspected. They'll be tossed out with the 4 of them, and there are 3 easy targets to kill at sides.
Yeah.
So whoever was tossed out can finish the
job.
the jobs because they've been tossed out with the 3 other suspicious people.
That's true.
So maybe that was their goal all along.
Oh shit.
部屋の外に犯人がいるように見せかけなきゃ自分が疑われてしまうことが分かってたはず。
ああ、そういうことなんだ。あの4人の中に犯人がいたとして、テーブルのど真ん中に手紙をポンと置くことは。だが、どうやってそこに手紙を置いたかのトリックは置いといて、あの4人以外の誰か、すなわちこの部屋の外に犯人がいたと仮定したとき、あの手紙には大きな意味が生まれる。
よしなさい、バトラ君。今さら些細な問題です。
And as I quickly guessed at what I was getting at. No, maybe she had thought of it long before I had, and simply held her tongue.
この部屋の外に犯人がいて、俺たちが外からは手出しをできない密室に立てこもっちまったらお手上げだ。ああ、そうだよ。この部屋からじいさまがいなくなったって話の時、俺が披露した説じゃねえか。じいさまが自分から出ていくという説。自分から出ていくような何かの細工を犯人がして。
Come to think of it, even Maria had said it when we found that scorpion magic circle on the doorknob to the study. Beatrice couldn't get through this door, but she might be able to induce someone to leave of their own accord.
だとすると私たちは犯人の罠に見事ハマって。
We both kind of fell by the wayside there. It might not be any of them. It could be some 19th person too.
Yeah, I mean, that's still a possibility that there's someone else on the island who's not related to the family at all.
A witch or a family.
Yeah.
新しい生贄候補を送り出しちまったことになるぜ。
Or, not a witch Beatrice, but a real Beatrice that's killing people.
That isn't a witch, but it's just a person.
Mm-hmm.
源氏たちもバカ
That
で
is
は
a
ありません。
possibility.
身を守ろうと思うなら、この部屋の次に安全な場所をすぐに思いつくでしょう。そこできっと身を潜めています。
She hadn't answered the question. She herself had realized that if the culprit wasn't in that group, the letter could easily have been a trap. However, it wasn't worth the risk of calling back the people she had once thrown out. To Aunt Natsuhi right now, her greatest and only duty was to protect the children. And to that end, she was thinking a few sacrifices may be an unfortunate necessity.
なあ、夏日おばさん、きついこと聞くぜ。もしあの時、たまたまジェシカもおばさんの後ろにいたなら、おばさんはこの部屋からジェシカも追い出してたかい？確かに残酷なところはあったかもしれない。でも、夏日おばさんは母として娘を守りきろうと思った。その責務から自分がやがては糾弾されることを覚悟で彼らを追放したんだ。俺は別にそれを責めてえわけじゃねえ。ただジェシカはいいお袋を持ったなってそう思ったのさ。
そうだね。夏日おばさんは 朝からずっと続いているこんな事件の中でも冷静さを失わずずっとみんなを牽引してきてくれた。
Wait a minute. Without losing your composure? I can
Rifle time.
I can think of a couple times where she has indeed lost her composure.
More than a couple of times for sure.
Yeah.
もしおばさんまで混乱していたら僕たちは今頃全員犯人の手にかかっていたかもしれない。だから僕たちはおばさんに感謝しなくちゃいけないと思う。
ありがとう。
バトラたちの言いたいことはつまり
Oh no.
こういうことだろう。
It's Jessica. this would be a funny place for Jessica to say, "What you're trying to say is this, right?" And then just pulls out a gun, blasts everybody in the face, starts cackling.
マリアの母でもあってほしいって。
Not so he's actually the murderer and just goes to town with the rifle.
私、マリアのことを実の妹みたいだとずっと。
What? You thought of her? You said you always thought of her as creepy, and now you're saying you think of her as a real little sister and daughter?
なのにいろんなことがあって。ちょっと
Well, I
混
think
乱しちゃった。
You got confused. Okay.
I think creepy recently, like very recently.
母さん、お願いだよ。マリアも、みんなも一緒にいようよ。私たちの中に犯人なんていなかったんだよ。この事件の犯人は魔女のベアトリーチェでいいじゃないか。
They're doing exactly what Maria said they were doing. When there was a feud between them and someone close to them has died, they want to blame one of them. And when somebody close to them is their lives are at stake, then they think it's a human, they chase out everybody or suspect human people. But then when they realize that everybody else is actually family and they don't want to suspect anybody, they suspect Beatrice.
Yeah.
だから。
And also, it closed her eyes for a short while. Was she coping with her throbbing headache again, or was she thinking of something?
ジェシカは主人と結婚してから12年もかけてようやく授かった。大切な娘です。私はジェシカを守るためなら。
That was some pretty strong language at the end there. She realized very well that these were only words, but even so, she was strongly resolved to protect her daughter even if she had become a demon. But that was because she was tormented by guilt. Today had been so long. So many things have happened in one day, and we've been put under so much pressure. I wonder if we have the right to grieve tomorrow the way we are now. There it is.
見つけた。この魔法陣だ。
Oh.
Within the books I had been constantly flipping through, I had finally found the same magic circle that had been drawn on the second sheet of the letter.
Oh wow.
Georgianiki peered at it as well. The magic circle's name was the third magic circle of Mars. The Hebrew written on it was from the Old Testament's book of Psalms, Psalm 77, verse 13. What God is so great as our God? The meaning of the magic circle was discord.
Damn.
It agitates internal divisions and causes the enemy to bring about their own downfall.
Yo. Yo. Dude. This is bad. This is really bad.
Could there be a more fitting way to describe her current situation and mental state? We can help but be stunned into silence.
じゃあこの手紙は罠だってのかよ。どうやってここに置いたんだよ。この部屋には私たち8人以外には誰もいなかったんだぜ。
とにかくどうやってここに置いたのか。とにかく犯人の狙いはたった一つ。この鉄壁の書斎に疑心暗鬼を引き起こして生贄の羊を俺たちの手で外へ放り出させることだったんだ。
だとしたら狙いは外へ出された人たちだ。
Or to draw the four of them outside of the room.
どうしよう。あの4人が危ない。
It wasn't surprising that Anatsu remained so unpleasantly silent. It could still be one of the four, though, that put it there.
Right.
But my theory from before, how one of the four put in there knowing that they'd be suspected and tossed out with the figure through.
Yeah.
Even if this was all trapped by the culprit, even if the four had been chased out of the room or in danger, it had nothing to do with the safety of the four people in here. There was no way to prove the innocence of the four people we'd kicked out. If we're willing to let them die, then we shouldn't leave this room no matter what. That way is safest.
Oh, no!
Just then, all of a sudden, the piercing sound of a phone rang throughout the room. It was the antique extension phone that was set on Grandfather's study desk. It had started ringing right as we began this conversation. It was only natural that we would think of it as an SOS from the others we had kicked out. But then Natsuki spoke.
The telephones were cut, man.
そんなことは関係ねえさ。もしマリアたちが助けを求める電話だったら。
Chills.
Oh god.
そもそも電話の普通が犯人の工作によるものならば、この電話はおそらく。
With that one sentence, the ring of the phone, which had sounded like a scream for help, started to sound like a ghastly summons from some unknown person, and Natsuki hesitated over whether to pick up the receiver.
トロ、おばさん、何かの理由で電話が回復したのかも。マリアちゃんたちからの緊急の電話の可能性もある。
そうだぜ。それに万一犯人からの電話だったらちょうどさ、話を聞いてやろうじゃねえか。それにどうせ電話だ。受話器越しに何をほざいたって痛くも痒くもないぜ。
おばさんが取らないなら俺が取るぜ。
Go Battler, go
私
Battler.
が取ります。
Oh no.
もしもし。
I stretched out my hand to take the receiver, but Natsuki picked it up first as if to say she had it under control. We all held our breaths trying to figure out who the person on the other end of the phone was. But for a while, Natsuki just kept saying hello. Silent phone call? There's no way Maria and the others would do something so creepy. Which means this phone call. Might it possibly, really? Natsuki stopped repeating hello and strained her ears. Because she thought she heard something far away on the other end of the receiver. What was it?
歌って何ですか、おばさん。
わかりません。電話の向こうでかすかに誰かが歌っているのが聞こえます。何のことやら。
ちょっと受話器を借りますぜ。
I'm looking behind me.
Yeah, man.
もしもし。
I half forced the receiver from the stunned Natsuki's hand and pressed it against my ear. At first I didn't hear anything, but because I had been told about it beforehand, I noticed. Not in a quiet voice, but rather far away from the receiver. I could hear a girl singing a song. The voice sort of sounded like Maria's, but that just made the situation even more inexplicable. At the very least, the one who made the phone call hadn't been Maria. After all, Maria was singing some song very far away from the receiver. In that case, the one who made the phone call should have been Genji-san, Kumasawa-san, and Dr. Nanjo. And yet, they weren't saying anything. Why? For what reason? Who was the person who made this phone call?
おい、もしもし、誰だ、返事をしろ。歌ってるのはマリアなのか。返事をしてくれ。
何が起こってんだよ。どういうことだ。
わからねえ。一つ言えることは、多分これは罠で、そしてマリアが危険だってことだけだ。
Natsu took the receiver again, but after calling into it several more times, she realized she wasn't getting anywhere and hung up. She then dialed quickly and clipped her tongue.
Nothing.
Alright, if the phones were back, we should be able to reach the police. But judging by her reaction, the outside line still wouldn't connect.
行こう。罠かもしれないことは分かってても 行かないわけにはいかない。
No, you don't. No, you don't.
ま
No,
あ
you
たか
don't.
ぜ
No, you
ジェシ
don't.
カと夏井おばさんはここにいてくれ
No, you don't.
Bad idea.
When Nanaki and I tried to dash out, and Natsui stopped us.
お待ちなさい。あなたたちだけに行かせるわけにはいきます。私も行きます。ジェシカはここで待ちなさい。
私だけ
I
の
don't think that's a good idea either.
冗談じゃない。私も行くぜ。
そうだなその方がいいかもしれねえぜではが俺たちをさらに分散させる狙いがあるってんなら留守番を残すのは適当じゃねえ
議論する暇も惜しい。みんなで行こう。
And Natsui raised the rifle high and took the lead. I needed a weapon myself as well. I found a three-pronged candelabra. Candelabra?
I think so.
Candelabra, which looks like it'd be used for some strange ritual, and armed myself with it. With the spikes it had to fit on the candle. With the spikes it had to fit the candles on. Although they were short, it was almost like a three-pronged spear.
Tried it.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
They're gonna be fucking dead.
Then the four of us left the study. We left the study, which should have been the safest place inside the mansion. And so we'd been lured out despite the fact that we'd barricaded ourselves in a safe locked room. And perhaps we were even repeating exactly the same series of events that had led grandfather to disappear from there. I listened closely but didn't hear anything. The mansion was vast and the sound of rain even noisier than before, as if the passing typhoon was making its last stand.
マリアちゃんは確か客までテレビを見たいと言ってたよね。階下に降りてみよ
う。そうですね。行ってみましょう。みんなは周りに用心して。
ほら。
This is so bad. This is so bad.
Without Natsui in the center, a rifle readied and finger on the trigger. We moved together in a group, our backs together, checking our surroundings all in all directions. As though the power of the magic circle designed to spread discord had brought it all into being. We had split up and furthermore had been dragged into dangerous territory. In other words, even now in this very moment, we were doing just what the culprit wanted us to do. This was now a strange space where it wouldn't be odd for anything to suddenly occur. And Natsui nervously pointed the barrel of the gun at every dark spot and shadow. It felt like that motion was out of fear rather than caution. The rifle she had in her hand would surely be our trump card and that the killer was afraid of.
僕はずっと思ってたんだ。カノン君のように胸にあのアイスピックを突き刺すことは不可能ではないと思う。でも母さんたちのように頭蓋骨を打ち抜いて眉間に突き立てるなんて。
犯人はそれだけバカ力ってことか。
多分あのアイスピックを飛ばす、あるいは打ち込む射出機のような武器があるんだよ。人力だけであれだけ深々と刺突するにはあの絵は短すぎる。
いずれにせよ頭蓋骨を打ち抜くほどに強力です。カノンの傷も肺にまで届いていたそうです。もし相手の姿を見ても決して前に出ないように私の後ろから出てはいけませんよ。
Just how sinister and frightening this weapon that could shoot these crazy, creepy ice picks. Could I do anything to combat it with just this candlestick in my hand?
Probably not.
In the first murder, the culprit had probably assaulted four of her parents at least once, or at once, as they discussed the inheritance problem in the dining hall. And we also had four people. Apparently, I wasn't the only person thinking this. Georgianiki, Jessica, and of course Aunt Matsui were stretching their senses to the utmost limit, in the highest and worst state of tension, slowly advancing one step then another. Ah, what sinful people are we? A world as terrifying as this, and we pushed Murray and the rest into the middle of it just because of the seeds of doubt spread by that single letter. We finally reached the first floor. The parlor was just across the hall.
Oh.
When we listened carefully, we could hear it faintly. Marnie's eerie singing voice. She wasn't singing naturally as though she were in a good mood. She was singing mechanically, as if she was in music class in school and had been ordered to sing. The song she was singing was just a common folk song, one that everyone has probably sung in school at one time or the other.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
But why that in the middle of the night, alone with her all her heart, over and over? Why? We had just left the study. We'd called out in loud voices asking Maria where she was, but this time no one even said a single word. We heard her breath and sound of our footsteps, heightened all our senses, and examined everywhere around us to a neurotic degree as we advanced each step. The door to the parlor was closed, but we could hear Maria singing voice through it. And that's when we put her hand on the handle doorknob. Jirzanaki stopped her.
扉は僕が開ける。夏日おばさんとバトラ君は武器を構えてて。
わかりました。気をつけて。
開けると同時に攻撃してくるかもしれないぜ、ジョージ兄さん。注意して。
じゃあ、行くよ。
I gently opened the door.
He tried to open it, but immediately felt the hard resistance of the lock. And that's when he took the bundle of the keys from her pocket and gave them to George.
Yeah.
There were about 10 keys and none of us had a clue which was which. Because of this, George had to fumble around loudly and test several of the keys. Since we'd hidden our footsteps preparing to make a surprise attack in the room, this almost felt fatal. The whole time we could hear Maria's voice from the parlor singing the same song over and over. It was like a broken, crazy cassette tape. In the morning, we'd been in the room the whole time. All of the frightening things had occurred outside that room. So we'd convinced ourselves that even if nowhere else could be trusted, that room alone was safe. That baseless impression was quickly falling apart.
開いた。
ありがとう。ジョージ君とジェシカは後ろに下がって。
おばさん、一気に飛び込んで左右に分かれよ。
The singing stopped.
扉を開けてボサッとしてたら例のアイスピックがど真ん中に飛んでくるかもしれねえぜ。
承知しています。いいですか？
Are you ready?
No.
やっぱ嫌だって言いてえな。
I readied myself. If they're going to throw ice picks at me, we'll see how they like my candlestick.
行きます。
And Natsu and I rammed into the door as we flew into the parlor, splitting up left and right and searching the parlor for someone who might be waiting for us. But what our eyes landed upon was an altogether outlandish scene.
Ugh.
The parlor was stained with blood. This place, where we had spent almost the entire day, where we had pressed in together to protect ourselves from some unknown malice, had become stained with fresh blood, had become an ocean of blood.
It's her. You see her on the right side of the screen? She's covered in blood.
On the floor lay Genji-san, Kumasawa-san, and Dr. Nanjo, their entire bodies stained bright red with blood. Found in the parlor with a weapon resembling an ice pick having been rammed into her calf and her face smashed.
On the 8th twilight, gouge the leg and kill.
Found in the parlor with a weapon resembling an ice pick having been rammed into his stomach and his face smashed.
On the 6th twilight, gouge the stomach and kill.
Found in the parlor with a weapon resembling an ice pick having been rammed into his thigh and his face smashed.
On the 7th twilight, gouge the knee and kill.
But the only way we could identify them was by their clothes. That was because, that's right! This was how their whole tragedy started. Their faces were all mashed up like Dad and the others in the storehouse, and you couldn't even tell where their eyes and noses were. It was like someone had vulgarly gobbled apart a tomato pot stew wrapped in a pie crust, all gobbly and slobby.
Oh, God.
And that wasn't all. Their bodies had other wounds. There were those demons' ice picks. They were in Genji-san's stomach, Dr. Nanjo's thigh, nose, knee. Yeah, it would be his knee. In the epitaph, the 6th twilight was his stomach, and then the 7th twilight had said to gouge the knee. And so after seeing one of them stuck near Kumasan with Bachan's calf, I couldn't help masochistically laughing. Yeah, of course it would be. On the 6th twilight, gouge the stomach and kill. On the 7th twilight, gouge the knee and kill. On the 8th twilight, gouge the leg and kill. Now we've the 8th twilight is over. The next one, the 9th twilight. What was it again? Mardia. It's there.
Ooh! Yo.
She was facing the far wall. Standing stock still, completely alone. Facing away from this horrible scene, standing in front of the wall, singing her song over and over. There was nothing else in the room. Just the corpses of the three who had been brutally killed and the receiver still off its hook, showing that it had been in this room that the call had come from. Just that, and Maria, her back to the scene, facing the wall, as she kept on singing. We couldn't even scream at this bizarre scene. We could only see her shocked, her mouths hanging loosely open. Jessica called out to her, but Maria showed no reaction. Alone, she kept singing on and on. We'd come here trying to save Maria from some approaching danger. So now that we'd found her, we should have been running up to her, hugging her, joyous that she was safe.
No.
And yet, not one of us could do that.
Gee, I wonder why.
Everyone thought it, but they couldn't say it. After all, because, right? It's crazy and yet, but no, it couldn't be.
Maria!
At some point, Natsu and I pointed our weapons at Maria's back. I yelled at Maria in a violent voice, but there was no reaction. She just kept singing. With the candlestick still readied, I ran up to her and forcefully, no violently, slammed my hand down on her shoulder. Then I pulled on her shoulder, forcing her to turn around.
This is bad.
Maria's small body was quickly pulled down and fell. And as though unhappy about how her singing had been interrupted, she looked into my face with her usual expression. Even in this gruesome situation, she was just like normal.
Maria!
Oh my god.
I threw the candlestick I'd been holding up against the wall. The violence of that reckless sound should have gone straight into Maria's heart, but her expression didn't change at all.
よすんだバトラ君。マリアちゃん、今度こそ君は3人を殺す犯人の顔を見たはずだよ。犯人は君に手紙を渡したというベアトリーチェなのかい？
おお、ベアトリーチェ。
ああ、ならこれで確定したぜ。19人目はいるんだよ。ベアトリーチェは実在するんだ。じゃあマリア、これくらいは教えてくれるよな、やつは。この3人をどうやって殺したんだ？何をどうやったらあんなむごい殺し方ができるんだ？
知らない。
知らねえってことはねえだろ。この部屋での出来事だぞ。歌を歌うのに夢中で気づかなかったとか言い出すんじゃねえだろうな。
落ち着いてバトラ君。マリアちゃん、僕とお話ししようね。
Georgianiki, as you always did, crouched down next to Maria so their eyes met and talked to her very
マ
kindly.
リアちゃんはどうして壁を向いてお歌を歌っていたのかな？
ベアトリーチェがここでね、壁を向いてお歌をずっと歌っていなさいって言ったの。
じゃあベアトリーチェがここへやってきたんだね。その時にはまだ源氏さんたちは生きていたんだよね。
みんなで客間に来て座ってた。源氏さんはちゃんと鍵をかけてたよ。
確かに鍵はかかってた。じゃあどうやってベアトリーチェは客間に入ってきたってんだよ。
でもベアトリーチェは魔女だから鍵なんか関係ない。蝶々になって扉の隙間から通り抜けてきたんだよ。
Oh my god.
はあ？冗談も休み休み言いやがる。そんなわけねえだろ。お前は何を言ってやがるんだ。
信じられないよね。だから言いたくなかった。どうせ言っても信じないの。でもベアトリーチェは魔女なの。不思議な魔法で何でもできるの。
Do it.
だからベアトリーチェは鍵のかかった扉なんか全然関係ないんだよ。
Oh my
それ
god.
で現れたベアトリーチェは、そしてみんなはどうしたの？
ベアトリーチェは言ったよ。おじい様の書斎は強力な力に守られていてどうしても入れない。だからあと3人の生贄はこの客間の4人の中から選ぶって。みんな嫌だって言ったよ。熊沢さんは嫌だ嫌だってすごい言ってた。でもベアトリーチェは選ぶよ。そしたらね、ベアトリーチェはマリアはいいよって言ってくれたの。どうしてだと思う？バトラがマリアの安全を祈って念を込めてくれたあの火星の5の魔法陣のサソリのお守りがあったからだよ。だからその力でベアトリーチェはマリアにだけは何もできなかった。 だから生贄はマリアじゃない3人に決まったの。そしたらね、ベアトリーチェはね、言ったの。
さあさあ、壁に向かってお歌を歌って聞かせなさい。あなたはたくさんお歌を歌うから何が起こって何が聞こえても聞こえないわからない。さあさあ、楽しいお歌をわらわにたくさん聞かせておくれ。
だからマリアはずっとお歌を歌ってた。ずっと歌ってたんだよ。だから何も聞こえない、わからない。そしたらバトラたちがやってきたんだよ。
それを信じろってのか？バカにするんじゃねえぜ
じゃあ今度は誰を疑う？マリアを疑う？マリアをこの場で殺してみる？そんなことしてもベアトリーチェはいなくならない。これで第8の番は終わったよ。ベアトリーチェは蘇る。
ふざけんな。もうそんな話は金輪際ごめんだぜ。魔女なんているもんか。煙に巻かれてたまるか。俺は認めねえぞ。絶対に俺が認めねえ。だから存在なんかさせねえ。蘇りもさせねえ。伝説は永遠に伝説のままだ。この俺がそんなことを認めね
よせよバトラ。マリアが殺したわけでも見殺しにしたわけでもない。ベアトリーチェが来てマリアは抵抗できず従わざるを得なかっただけだぜ。
You're believing her with that face?
Yeah, apparently.
あれ、
Oh.
夏日おばさん、おばさんがいない。
Oh, what?
あれ
She's gone?
母さんどこ行ったの？
What the
さ
fuck?
っき手紙を読みながら一人で出て行ったよ。
Was there a...
Letter? That makes sense. The culprit's done with the 8th Twilight and it's all gone swimmingly for them. They might well have left a letter so they could brag even more. We'd been so wrapped up in questioning Maria that we forgot to look for one. But even as well armed as she was, why'd she left the room all by herself in a dangerous mansion after reading it? Jessica tried to chase after her and tugged at the handle to the door, but it resisted strangely and wouldn't open.
母さん、お母さん、何これ？開けて！開けて！
It was only natural. Natsuki had picked up the candlestick, which Battler had thrown on the wall and which had fallen to the floor. She had then skillfully wedged it between the doorknobs on the double doors like a bolt, holding them closed. The intricate design of the candlestick meant it jammed well and formed a truly sturdy seal on the door. The driving stream of the daughter looking for her mother. Did it reach Natsuki's ears or not? Natsuki was alone in the entrance hall. It was the place where the portrait of Beatrice had been hung. Natsuki threw down the final letter from Beatrice that she had read in the parlor, readied her rifle again, and in a voice that rang clear, yelled in the massive space that was the entrance hall.
後宮家代表、後宮夏日です。姿を見せなさい、黄金の魔女、ベアトリーチェ。
The entrance hall was dimly lit. Other than a faint light which shone on the center of the room, everything was blotted out by the jet-black darkness. In that darkness, butterflies glittering in gold squirmed, twinkled, and sneered. Natsu gave one more huge gulp, and then pointed the cold barrel of the gun at the butterflies.
ようやく姿を現しましたね。あなたのような存在が本当に存在したのって私は未だ信じることができない。でもそれは問題ではありません。後宮家の代表であると自負する私と後宮家の当主を引き継いだと自称するあなたが今この場にいるあなたが本当に魔女なのかどうかは今となっては些細な問題です。さあ決着をつけましょう。後宮家を真に引き継ぐ者はどちらか。この後宮夏日かあなたベアトリーチェか。あなたの決闘の申し出慎んでお引き受けさせていただきます。
The gold butterfly slowly formed a human shape, which walked into the dim light.
Oh my god.
Natsui readied the rifle and glared. The witch raised her golden staff overhead and laughed. Natsui's finger slowly squeezed the trigger. Battler made an all-out dash at the door and rammed into a crushing candlestick that had been barring it, and something that I missed, I'm sorry. Making it impossible for a big gap to be opened in the door. He kept kicking the candlestick through that gap and the door was finally released. At that time they heard it. They clearly heard just once the cursed sound of gunfire.
ジェシカさん、一人で先走っちゃいけない。
今のは銃声だぜ。夏代おばさんが撃ったんだ。
At who? At the culprit. The noise had come from the entrance hall. At the entrance hall, looks like a stage, like the heroine of a tragedy, lying down and bathed in its light, arrayed in the beauty of that silence. Natsu was face up, crumpled on the floor. Half crazed, Jessica ran up to Natsu. On her forehead, it was almost as if a sparkling shard of pigeon's blood ruby had been placed there. And from it, a single stream of blood makeup passed by her eye and began to traverse her face. That faint smell of gunpowder smoke came from the barrel of the rifle Natsu still grasped. Huh? Then, she shot herself in the forehead? Why?
Why? どうしておばさんは一人で抜け出してどうして自分の額を撃ち抜いているんだよ。
マリアちゃん、夏日おばさんは手紙を読んでから部屋を出たんだよね。手紙がない。くそ、おばさんは何を読んでどうしてここに誘い出されたんだ。
知らねえぜ。そんなことはどうでもいいぜ。なんなんだよ。どうして自殺なんだよ。私を置いてくんだよ。
Jessica clung to her mother's corpse, crying earnestly. My body consumed by an anger I didn't know what to do with. I stole the rifle from Natsu's hand and spun around, pointing the barrel of the gun into the darkness on all sides, as though I was pointing a light from the lighthouse, trying to find the culprit. Georgiana, even in this situation, was trying to calmly figure out something, but that effort might have been doomed to futility. And Maria alone was left completely indifferent. Is she treating this as some kind of predetermined fate? No, that's not it. This is all. A prelude to a wonderful world. The door to the Golden Land will finally open.
第9の晩に魔女は蘇り、誰も生き残りはしない。そして第10の晩に旅は終わり、黄金の里へ至るだろう。これで全部終わったね、ベアトリーチェ。おめでとう、おめでとう。だからマリアを導いて。あなたの話してくれた黄金鏡へ。今こそ。
There, all of the dead will be resurrected, and even the love they once possessed will be revived. So, in Maria's eyes, it's just as though all of today's tragedies would never even happened. And all those days she spent deprived of love never happened either.
いい加減にしやがれ。何が楽しい、何がおめでたい。この島には18人いた。14人死んだ。残りは俺たち4人だ。俺は絶対に死なねえぞ。夜が明けるまで、いや台風が過ぎ去ってまた船着き場に海猫たちが帰ってくるまで俺は絶対に死なねえんだよ。生き残ってやる、生き残ってやる、絶対。
よしなよバトラー。ベアトリーチェに銃なんて意味ないよ。それに生き残るも何ももうおしまいなんだよ。もう旅は終わったんだよ。ほら時計を見てごらん。
Huh? The clock? Hearing those words, I looked at my wristwatch. Both hands were almost touching near the top. Very soon it would be 12 a.m. In other words, 2400. When you think about it, isn't 2400 a strange time? It can be called 2400 and it could also be called 0. It's the hour at the culmination of the previous day, and at the same time it's the hour 0 as the next day begins. Maria suddenly called out happily and then ran towards the darkness. It's almost as though Beatrice was somewhere in that darkness, and Maria was running up to her. As I looked down the barrel of the rifle, as Jessica hugged her mother's corpse, Janaki stood there shocked. We gazed into the darkness, our eyes fixed just in front of Beatrice's portrait, and there, Maria leapt into a hug. With the portrait's subject. You've got to be kidding me, this is ridiculous, impossible. This madness can't even possibly be. Witches don't exist, I won't accept it. Things like you must not exist because this is a human world. You think I could accept something that's not human? Never, never, I never will. I pulled hard on the rifle's lever. The cartridge was ejected, fell on the floor, and a new cartridge was loaded. Then I sighted the witch down the barrel. Maria turned around. Still clinging to the golden witch, she turned around.
だから意味なんてないってば。ベアトリーチに鉛玉なんて意味ないってば。バカだね、人間は。
俺は魔女なんて認めねえぞ。貴様は誰だ。一歩でも動いてみろ。指一本でも動かしてみろ。こいつをぶち込んでやる。
The laughter of the witch, no, the witches, was joined by the laughter of even the large clock in the hall. We shot the clock. The witches left. The clock left. We shot the clock.
It was a good time.
It was probably telling us that the time was 2400. It was both a tone telling us that we'd reached the culmination of this day, and a tone informing us that all had returned to nothing. The rules had specified that the witch would win when time ran out.
ジョージお兄ちゃんにジェシカお姉ちゃん、旅は終わって魔女は蘇ったよ。
And none shall be left alive. The witch shall praise the wise and bestow 4 treasures. One shall be all the golden land's gold. One resurrects all the dead people's souls. One even revives all the love they possessed. And one for the witch to eternally rest. Rest in peace, my beloved witch, Beatrice. The storm passed, and the leaden clouds that enshrouded the island for so long began to clear away. Sunbeams shone from the rifts between the clouds. Yesterday's storm seemed like a lie. Just as someone had wished, the seagulls returned to the harbor once again, and their lively cries could be heard. Afterwards, the police arrived and conducted an investigation of the scene. The corpses of the children, who are believed to have survived until the very end, were never found. However, from the body parts that were discovered and the unimaginably gruesome nature of the scene, the police were forced to conclude that the chances of survival for any of the children, including the children, were hopelessly dim. Just how gruesome was the banquet of the witch, and how beautiful was the Golden Land? Those tales are for them alone to tell amongst themselves. They had no tale for those who arrived after the banquet had ended. One can only imagine what had transpired during the course of those 2 days. However, the witch was fickle. She made a point of leaving behind the tale which had no need to be told and permitted to spread. A few years later, a strange wine bottle drifting on the waves of the quayside of a nearby island was recovered by a fisherman. Stuffed inside were tightly rolled notebook pages, crammed full to the edges with minuscule writing. Written there was this tale. It would have been through these pages that people would first come to know the nature of the mysterious and riddle-filled two-day period that began on October 4th, 1986, the 18 killings of Kenshima. Lovers of the occult claimed it to be the sorry result of an immoral ritual that sealed off the island's haven. And while the notebook pages tell this mysterious incident, they do not tell the truth behind it. In fact, perhaps not even the writer of the notebook knew the truth. Perhaps she might have desired to know. According to writer's signature, her name was Ushiro Maria. Furthermore, as a result of an all-out police search, part of Maria's body has been discovered. A piece of her jaw. It was one of those rare instances where the owner of the body was able to be identified through the dental records. There were many parts that could not be linked to any specific person in their gruesome scene, so the jaw could be called an extremely fortunate find. No other parts were found or identified. Let's conclude the tale with the final paragraph of the notebook pages that Ushiro Maria left behind. By the time you read this, I will probably be dead. Although there may or may not be a corpse. You have read this, please uncover the truth. This is my only wish. Ushiro Maria. To this very day, the truth of the witch legend serial murder case has not been brought to light. First game. The legend of the Golden Witch result. Ushiro Kraus died on the first twilight. Ushiro Rudolph died on the first twilight. Rosa died on the first twilight. Kyrie died on the first twilight. Shannon died on the first twilight. Goda died on the first twilight. Ava died on the second twilight. Hideyoshi died on the second twilight. Kimzo died on the fourth twilight. Kanon died on the fifth twilight. Genji died on the sixth twilight. Physician Nanjo died on the seventh twilight. Kumasawa died on the 8th twilight. Tsurushi revived on the 9th twilight. Nansui died on the 9th twilight. George missing on the 10th, except the witch prostrated himself and resided to the Golden Land. Maria and Jessica, same thing. Badler missing on the 10th twilight. He denies the existence of the witch. Will she invite him to the Golden Land? The witch shall praise the wise and grant 4 treasures in the Golden Land. There they chose to arrive with the souls of the dead and love they possess. For George, his lost fiancé. For Jessica, her lost loved one. For Maria, the loss of her mother. Rest in peace, Beatrice. May her soul never be disturbed again. The winner is the Golden Witch Beatrice. After 18 none solved the Golden Witch of the Gold. All 18 died. When the seagulls cried, none were left alive.
Oh, fuck! End of chapter 1. And wow. How is there more? How is there more to this? That is literally
new elements added. The Golden Witch has prepared a gift in commemoration of her recent sojourn. New elements may be accessed from the title screen.
Ugh.
Do you want to do the epilogue? It's like an hour. Maybe a little more, like an hour and 15 minutes.
I think we should call it here.
Call it here?
Yeah.
Alright. Well, we'll be doing the epilogue tomorrow then. By the time you get this video out, it'll be irrelevant. So, we'll have already done it. Anyways, yeah, that was the end of chapter 1.
Yeah, it was. it definitely was. That's all I can say.
Ah. Go away. Picture box.
Oh, of course.
Oh, yes, yes.
Of course. Nothing else? Oh, okay.
Oh. Secret. That's what we have so far. And then...
music box.
Yeah.
Oh, it has all the tracks?
The ones that we've
Nice.
gotten so far. This is how many tracks we haven't heard yet.
There's so many more.
What is this? Oh, that's opening. Yeah, there's a lot of music, and that's just the music in the first half of the chapters 1 through 4.
Wow.
There's just as much new music in the second half too.
Jeez. I have to pee so bad.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and next episode, which you should be seeing in a day or two from when you get this, you'll be seeing the epilogue. as we do the tea party.
Tea party.
Yeah, tea party.
Oh, that sounds nice and innocent.
That sounds nice and innocent. It's probably taking place in the parlor, you know?
Yeah.
The one room where nobody could touch.
Yeah.
See? Tea party. Please pull up a seat and wind down. Was your sojourn on Rikanjima a pleasant one? The Golden Witch has gifted you with an invitation to a tea party. I hope that you will participate.
Oh my lord.
Anyways,
This game is gonna be the death of me.
we will see you guys next time.